fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Are you a proud American? Then join us for the Lincoln Trump Dinner, March 20th at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Peters, hosted by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee. The evening features a VIP reception, dinner and program with live music by the Comparato Trio. Register online at stcharlesgop.com. Don't miss this celebration of America's 250th year, the Lincoln Trump Dinner. See you March 20th.
Think you're just getting older? Stiff in the morning, low energy, aches that weren't there 5 years ago? Maybe. Or maybe it's your mattress. At Snooze Mattress and Wellness, we're locally owned and family owned, and we use advanced sleep technology to measure your pressure points and match you to the right mattress for your body. No fake sales, no guessing, no pressure. Just honest guidance and better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home, too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Ranking Member Garcia asked President Clinton, quote, should President Trump be called to answer questions from this committee? And President Clinton said, that's for you to decide. And the president went on to say that the president, Trump, has never said anything to me to make me think he was involved, and he meant with Epstein. So I know there's a lot of curiosity about President Trump. I thought that was an interesting thing that President Clinton said. So
I guess it all depends on what the definition of is, right? Welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Lots of intrigue regarding the depositions, the closed-door depositions of the Clintons regarding their involvement or lack thereof, regarding Jeffrey Epstein, the late Jeffrey Epstein, and the Epstein files. We'll be covering that and so much more this afternoon on a fantastic Friday here in the Heartland. Last show for February 2026, Chris Arps. Can you believe it?
Absolutely amazing. You know, we expect February to go pretty quickly because it is the shortest month of the year. But, boy, it's hard to believe it's the 27th of February already.
Some lovely weather here to kick off the weekend, and then we'll have a return back to late winter. Up and down type of year as we head into March. Looks like March coming in like a lion here in the Central Time Zone. Thanks for joining us. This is 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. We got a jam-packed Friday show for all y'all. We're going to kick it off with Dr. Bob Onder. Lots happening up in Congress on Capitol Hill this week. Of course, the State of the Union and lots of other activity. We'll break all that down and more with the good congressman, including the special guest that he had, Chris, at the State of the Union, as all eyes are on this issue of transgender ideology and whether or not the left is going to keep tripling down on that or whether they're going to let that losing issue go.
Tim, that is a great segue for Chris's Corner at 4:45 because I will talk about transgenderism, specifically California, and the title is California Bucks the World, and I'll have more on that at 4:45. Chris's Corner.
In fact, that is also a great segue into the Speaker's Stump Speech, which is going to be titled today, Stop the Stupid. So kind of a theme we have developing here, and I'm going to talk about the things that, once again, kind of wrap up the State of the Union and this week before we move on to the next week and talk about everything that Americans are concerned about, the issues that they're going to be looking at, and versus the ones we hear from the far left up on Capitol Hill. Patrick Tuohey, rounding out our guests for the week, will be joining us around 5:25, and we'll be discussing Senator Adam Schnelting's proposal to create an investment fund to get this long-term eliminate not just the income tax, Chris, but all taxes in the state of Missouri.
Very interesting proposal. The first that I have heard of that, and we'll be looking forward to getting more information on that from Patrick Tuohey.
And we'll discuss the ongoing debate about data centers. My understanding is last night in the city of Festus, they approved an ordinance which will allow them to move forward on a data center facility. And from what I've been told and what I've heard and what I've seen, there was quite a bit of quite a difference of opinion, and there was a lot of people in favor of data centers at the meeting last night in the city of Festus, and quite a few people opposed.
Yeah, I saw the reports last night on the local news, and they had interviews of people that were in favor and those that opposed. A lot of passion on the opposition side of data centers. I tell you, I think that these developers that want to put these data centers in, they need a PR representative or something, because they're getting hammered by the opposition. There's a lot of pluses and minuses with data centers. They create some jobs. The electrical grid is going to need an upgrade. It's going to need more electricity because data centers, of course, are the future. And so, Tim, this is an issue that is not going to be going away anytime soon.
Because the more you use those supercomputers in your pocket, the more that you incorporate ChatGPT into your daily life and other aspects of AI, the more data storage you're going to need to use. A little news flash here, there's really no such thing as the ephemeral cloud, right? The cloud is actually data centers, and that's where the data gets stored. In addition, a state senator by the name of Jason Bean, he's from Southeast Missouri, he filed a bill yesterday on the last day of filing to say that, hey, if these data centers are built, they should be required to pay property taxes on the front end. There should be no exemption for them to get started on that, because many believe that data centers, given how much they produce, could dramatically lower the property tax burden. So that's maybe a positive that the opponents need to know about as well.
Yeah, and speaking of AI, there is a big controversy between the Pentagon and a company called Anthropic, which the Pentagon uses a lot of their material, a lot of their AI software. AI, or Anthropic, is saying that the Pentagon cannot use their software for some of the things that they want to use it for. Their biggest concern is AI being used for autonomous military strikes, where you don't have a human being that's conducting these strikes. Computers are, and they seem to have a real issue with that. The Pentagon gave them a deadline. I think it's 5 o'clock tonight to relent to the Pentagon, or they were going to use a extraordinary measure where they basically tell them, you have to let us use your technology because of national security concerns. So be interesting to see how that standoff ends, and just shows more and more the prevalence of AI in every aspect of our lives.
What you were just describing, as you were describing that, the two words that immediately jumped into my brain were Skynet and Terminator, because that sounds exactly like what happened in that futuristic sci-fi classic. I think there was 7 or 8 Terminator movies. That's exactly what happened. The machines became sentient, and then they became autonomous, and then they took over the world, basically.
And one thing that's very interesting about this standoff is a lot of these AI companies that have been doing business with the government, when these type of ethical concerns have come up, they've said, hey, we're just providing the technology. It's really none of our business what you do with it. But Anthropic is taking a stand and saying that we want some safeguards to make sure that AI is not being used for autonomous weapons, where, as you said, Skynet in the future, weapons being used against people, killing people, and there's no human involvement with it. So I think it's a legitimate issue. I don't think Anthropic is going to win this standoff against the Pentagon, but I'm sure we'll see more and more stories like this in the future.
Well, and listen to this. This happened back in December, and the story just broke this week. I don't know how they kept it under wraps for so long, but just so folks know that we're not like lighting our hair on fire unnecessarily, a story came out this week that an internal Amazon Web Services, which a lot of companies use, AWS, Amazon Web Services, an AI coding assistant by the name of Hero reportedly caused a 13-hour service disruption by, get this, deciding to delete and then recreate an entire production environment. So the AI bot on its own deleted the entire coding system of Amazon Web Services because it found a problem with it, shut it down, and then rebuilt it. That's concerning.
Yeah, that's AI assistants, they are calling them. And a lot of people are afraid that, a lot of people are using AI assistants to take over the work of human beings. They can do tasks much faster than a human being can do them. They can do many, many tasks simultaneously. So that is the wave right now, AI assistants. And this story that you just told, Tim, kind of tells the danger of giving them autonomy, giving them a lot of tasks to do. They may take it on their own to do what they feel is necessary.
What did Elon Musk say? We better have a kill switch.
Yeah.
We better always have a kill switch. Speaking of AI and horror movies, we're going to talk about another horror movie franchise that is now apparently in its 7th rendition. I lost track. I had no idea. Scream 7 will be the subject of Joey V's movie review this afternoon.
It's fascinating, the real-life stories that follow the fake story. So the real-life story now is that in Scream 6, the main actress tweeted and posted about pro-Palestine stuff and got fired. And then the other actress, she quit, and then the director quit as well. And they had to retool this whole movie. And then at the Hollywood premiere, there were pro-Palestine protesters.
Really?
So it's fascinating to see how these movies pivot based on what's going on in the real life as well.
Yeah, and director Spike Lee caused some controversy this week. I forgot what event it was, but he wore a pro-Palestinian suit that was made up of the Palestinian flag. So I guess he's showing where his support is between Israel and the Palestinians.
Joey,
just shut up and direct, shut up and act.
Shut up and sing.
Shut up and sing, shut up and dribble.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Joey, when we get into these horror franchises like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Scream, and they're on their 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th movie, do you look forward to those? Do you think there's something new they can do, or do you just go through the motions because you have a job to do and you're going to provide a review of that individual flick?
The Scream franchise is different because they comment on themselves at the same time. It gets very meta. So even if you don't like the movies, you end up wondering, what are they going to say about themselves?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because when I was reading some of the reviews on the movie, that was one of the criticisms from fans of the franchise is that it wasn't as meta as all of the other films. And I had no idea what they were talking about. So I'm sure you'll get more into that at 5:45. What is meta and concerned in what it means with the Scream franchise?
Meanwhile, Chris, and I'm not wishing anything on any of us, but the reason we have Senator Jim Talent on Monday afternoons is often because big things happen over the weekend. And I'll bring this up because it's breaking news as we head into yet another weekend. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has messaged to all Americans who happen to be in and around Iran to leave the region immediately. And the state of Israel has told its citizens to prepare to batten down the hatches. What do you think, Chris? Do you think we're going to be talking to Senator Jim Talent on Monday about Donald Trump engaging in additional strikes against Iran over the weekend, or is this maybe a false flag?
It's a big possibility. As you said, the U.S. Embassy announced that authorized non-essential staff to consider leaving Israel while flights are available. I kind of know how that is from personal experience. And they've also warned the embassy staff to refrain from going to parts of the country like Old Jerusalem. So could be. Who knows? You know, the one thing that I said this week about President Trump, one of his greatest strengths is his unpredictability. and we could see a strike this weekend. We may not.
Yeah, we don't know if this is signaling or if it's just preparations, but whatever happens over the weekend, we will be covering it and analyzing it with Senator Jim Talent on Monday. So keep an eye on the news wires over the weekend and listen to News Talk STL throughout the weekend, because we always have the ability to break into our weekend programming with breaking news updates as well. Great weekend programming here on News Talk STL. Our entire weekend lineup is at newstalkstl.com. You can find that on the app as well. Download that to your phone. Your phone becomes your radio. Yeah, there we go. Lots to get to this afternoon. When we come back, we're going to speak to Congressman Dr. Bob Onder. I know you have quite a few questions about the State of the Union, Chris, and lots more.
Definitely.
With the good doctor, Congressman from Missouri's third. Oh, I know what I was going to say about him. He is going to be filing for his second term. Can you believe we're through the first term of Congressman Onder already?
Amazing. 2 years goes by very quickly.
It does. Congressman Dr. Bob Onder refiling for his second term and updating us on his front row seat at the State of the Union. All that and more when Chris and I return on a fantastic Friday show here on 101.9, 94.1. This is News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Well, wasn't today gorgeous with the sunny skies and temperatures in the mid-70s? A very comfortable evening, and until 10 o'clock, we'll still have temperatures in the 60s. A low tonight of 40 degrees, and tomorrow there's a cold front to the south, and temperatures will be a little bit cooler in the mid-60s. An isolated chance of a spot shower, and then keep an eye on Sunday. Still can't rule out some wintry mix, but our temperatures are above freezing, so impacts are limited. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy Todd from The Right Mind Show. And here's my celebrity friend, Larry Hankin from Seinfeld and Breaking Bad.
I never wanted to end up, talking on the phone to Todd.
The Right Mind Show, Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
Top-rated chiropractic care and more can be found at Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance. They're at cchiropractic.com on the internet, cchiropractic.com. When you go to cchiropractic.com, you'll see their phone number right at the top of the page and the office address. They are based in my hometown of Eureka, but they service the entire region. And let me tell you, people do come from far and wide because Comprehensive Chiropractic is just that good. Dr. Pat Fader built Comprehensive Chiropractic several decades ago. I've been a patient for nearly the entire time Comprehensive Chiropractic has been in existence because it works. I am living proof of it. I have recommended Comprehensive to so many of my friends and colleagues and coworkers. My daughters have both gone there. They're athletes. They specialize in sports performance too. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be like a major league level style athlete. It can be for all you weekend warriors as well. It can be for folks who are dealing with chronic pain. Chronic pain is debilitating. And I think a lot of times chronic pain for us comes on slowly and we ignore it. And then when it gets worse, we try to ignore it more and we just live with it. You don't have to live with the pain. I am living proof that Comprehensive Chiropractic can make that pain go away. I have had a lot of nagging injuries over my many decades. I was a runner when I was younger. I walk extensely, play lots of golf, carry my bag. That puts a lot of strain and stress on certain joints and things of that sort. And so if you work out, and you know what, let's say you want to get into shape. They've got personal trainers at Comprehensive Chiropractic. They will work with you on your schedule. It'll be very affordable. They do that at Comprehensive Chiropractic. They have classes where you can get into shape at Comprehensive Chiropractic, Pilates and yoga classes in the studio, and so much more. Tons of great resources. They'll work with you on your nutritional needs as well. Holistic, one-stop shop. That's Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance. They're at cchiropractic.com. They're at cchiropractic.com. Comprehensive Chiropractic for all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
There are over 20,000 studies on vitamin D, and we still treat it like an afterthought. And cortisol, it's misunderstood. This week, we break down the real science between metabolism, inflammation, and midlife hormone shifts. Don't miss it.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, Log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stiefel. Contact your Stiefel financial advisor at stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Baby, I'll try to love again, but I know the first cut is the deepest. Baby, I know the first cut is the deepest.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
In 2021, Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to socially transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. A left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately.
425 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Great State of the Union speech there, and our next guest had a ringside seat.
Dr. Bob Onder, congressman for Missouri's 3rd District.
We're calling Dr. Bob. We're calling Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob.
Congressman, welcome into the show. How are you, my friend?
Good evening, Chris. Great to be back.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you heard that clip from the president calling the Democrats out on their transgender agenda. You had a guest there at the State of the Union, Chloe Cole. You have sponsored the Chloe Cole Act to criminalize these doctors and people that are butchering our children. Tell us about where your bill is and give us your overall thoughts on the State of the Union. I said Monday or Tuesday that this was probably the best one I've ever watched.
Well, yes, I think it is certainly one of the best I've watched probably since the Reagan administration. You know, the president spoke of a comeback for the ages, and just think about where we've come in the last 12 months. I mean, we passed the largest tax cut in U.S. history. We saved the average American family $2,300 a year. We cut taxes on tip, overtime, Social Security. We've seen for the first time in years real job growth. We funded border security. We ended Green New Deal scams. And and really the president has given us unprecedented victories in this fight to protect kids from transgender procedures, the quacks and the groomers who would, put them on dangerous hormones and surgically mutilate them. Yes, I had Chloe Cole there as my special guest. She is an articulate young woman who herself was victimized by the transgender cult, we're committed to passing the Chloe Cole Act so we can permanently protect kids from just these diabolical practices of these transgender doctors and transgender clinics.
Dr. Bob, it seems like the media is really gnashing their teeth and rending their garments about this particular State of the Union. They seem to have nothing but critiques and criticism of it. Bob, do you think it's because that it actually was that effective, that the president took a deliberate amount of time, the longest State of the Union speech in history, to really emphasize the difference between the prior administration and his, and that the American people and he focused heavily on those 80-20 issues, and maybe that's why the Democrats and the national corporate media are so incensed about this particular State of the Union?
Yeah, I think that's right. And President Clinton not only called them out on those issues, he gave them the opportunity to redeem themselves. He asked all of us in Congress to stand if we believe that Americans should be first over illegal aliens. And every Republican stood, and not a single Democrat stood. This is a pattern. The Democrats shut down the government for 43 days, and their initial narrative was that they wanted to give Medicaid benefits to illegal aliens. Now they shut the Department of Homeland Security down because they don't want ICE agents and Customs and Border Patrol agents to detain, arrest, to deport illegal aliens who commit crimes in our country. So really, I think the Democrats are very upset because they have been called out, and President Trump has been effective in an unprecedented way in drawing that contrast between the America First vision of himself and of congressional Republicans versus the illegal alien first anti-law enforcement agenda of the Democrats.
Speaking with Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District. Congressman, I've been waiting all week to ask you this question. So what was the pulse of the room when the president asked that question about who are you for, the American people or illegal immigrants? What was the pulse of the room? What do you think was the reaction of those in the gallery? And did you see some of the Democrats wanting to stand up, but maybe they were looking around to see what their colleagues were doing and didn't stand up, or were they just totally united they weren't going to stand?
Yeah, there were some Democrats who, very small, you could count them on one hand, who clapped for certain things that the president said, like honoring various war heroes. But by and large, the Democrats were completely united in just staying stone-faced, silent, sitting down, not standing for anything the president said. And of course, there were other Democrats who boycotted the State of the Union address entirely, and then Ilhan Omar, blurting out things throughout the speech. So yeah, I mean, it really is sad that we are no longer united in the love of our country. The idea that Americans come first, Democrats really believe illegal aliens should be first, and those who push bizarre ideologies on our kids are first.
Speaking to Congressman Dr. Bob Onder from Missouri's 3rd Congressional District. Bob, we've spoken with you in the past about a very important piece of legislation that you are handling in the House and Senator Ted Cruz is handling in the Senate. It's called the Rotor Act. That's an acronym. It is meant to address situations like the horrific crash that we had at DCA last year, which took the lives of so many people, including several in our military, many from an ice skating group from here in the Midwest. It was just a horrific incident. And so you and Senator Cruz have been working on a solution to that. We understand it's hit some snags and maybe a roadblock, but nothing's ever really completely dead in D.C. until it's dead and buried, right? So maybe you can explain to us where we are, where we might go on this.
Yeah, so Tim, the Rotor Act is a piece of aviation safety legislation, and its main provision is something that the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, since 2008 has recommended 18 times. And it's that aircraft that they're flying in busy airspace. We're not talking about crop dusters in rural Arkansas. We're talking busy airspace, like you and I have flown in and out of in the St. Louis area, that they be equipped with a piece of safety technology called ADS-B that allows pilots to be seen and see other aircraft as they operate in that airspace. And the reason we need this is there has been at least one near miss per month at Reagan National Airport for the last 15 years. And of course, other airports have had near misses. So the Rotor Act was to implement that technology. It's inexpensive. It's easy. The plane you and I used to fly in was equipped with that technology. It was not expensive. But unfortunately, and that bill, the Rotor Act, passed the Senate unanimously back in November. But unfortunately, there were certain Republicans who were opposed to it, and they rallied the troops. And to pass the rotor by what we call suspension, it would have taken a 2/3 vote. We fell one vote short of that 2/3 margin. So it'll be back. There will be some aviation safety legislation in committee next week, in the Transportation Committee next week. It's inadequate. It needs to be amended to add this ADS-B provision. And I'm sure over on the Senate side, Senator Cruz is absolutely committed to getting it passed as well.
Congressman, a couple of surprising developments regarding your bill. Your fellow Missouri Congressman Sam Graves, who's the chairman of the Transportation Department, he has come out in opposition of the bill. And the Pentagon, who originally supported the bill, they've come out in opposition as well. I was also reading that maybe the reason that Sam Graves and some Republicans weren't in favor is they wanted the bill, since Senator Cruz was the main sponsor of this, that the House wants to amend it and make it more of a House bill than a Senate bill. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, unfortunately, and we saw this back in Missouri too. Sometimes there's pride of ownership that House members want a House bill and the Senate members want a Senate bill. I've always felt that I don't care as long as we do good policy. But it does seem, for reasons that I do not completely understand, that Congressman Graves really opposes any kind of ADS-B provisions, certainly not enacting that requirement right away. I've heard committee staff say that, well, this will be bad for general aviation, in other words, private pilots. But the ADS-B receiver that sat on the dashboard of my plane, I don't own the plane any longer, but it cost $400, and that's about what most pilots pay for a routine oil change. So American Airlines voluntarily adopted ADS-B for its airplanes at a cost of $50,000 per airplane. A 737 MAX costs about $100 million. So it's really a trivial cost. I don't know why anyone would oppose it. It seems the military, they want their pilots to be able to fly on routine training missions like the one that killed 67 people in DCA. They want to fly those missions blind without ADS-B equipment. I don't understand that, because initially the Department of War supported the legislation, and then at the 11th hour they changed their position. We've got to do this. Again, 17 times the NTSB recommended the provisions of the Rotor Act. Then there was the DCA crash, Reagan National crash, that killed 67 people. NTSB recommended this safety provision one more time, 18 times now. I don't understand why there's any opposition to this bill at all.
And just to note, Congressman Graves is a fellow private aviator just like yourself.
He is. And where he flies in Northwest Missouri, I don't, think his family farm and their airstrip would even be required to equip their airplanes with this equipment, unless, but if he wants to, fly into Kansas City International or Lambert, St. Louis, then he would. So I really don't understand the opposition.
Congressman, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has issued a warning this afternoon urging Americans in and around Iran to leave immediately. Maybe they should have gotten out a few weeks ago, because the tensions have been ramping up for a while. Without disclosing anything that maybe you can't disclose, your thoughts on the increased pressure and tension in that region right now as Donald Trump continues to search for a diplomatic solution, but doesn't seem to be afraid to be flexing American military might in the meantime.
Yeah, I think there's no question that President Trump has not ruled out a military solution. He very much would like to see a diplomatic solution. I do not have any, confidential or classified information, other than to say that President Trump would like to see the Iranians completely dismantle their military nuclear program. Now, we're fine with the Iranians having nuclear energy, for instance. They don't need it because they're sitting on so much oil and so much natural gas. They don't need it to power people's homes. But yes, it is time that Iran dismantled their nuclear program. They seem hell bent on getting a nuclear weapon. And unlike the Cold War, where we faced down the former Soviet Union and nukes were not used, I think we really fear the Ayatollahs would use a nuclear weapon against the United States or against our allies, and that's just unacceptable. So yes, I support President Trump, and again, I hope it doesn't come to a need for nuclear action, but we might be headed military action, but I fear we might be headed that way.
Congressman, the last 2 days, of course, Bill and Hillary Clinton were deposed in their hometown of Chappaqua, New York. Bill Clinton today kind of exonerated the president, saying that he didn't have any knowledge of the President Trump being involved with Jeffrey Epstein in any way. Democrats are now saying that because Bill Clinton has been forced to testify, that they're going to enact what they're calling the Clinton rule if they take over Congress next year, and they're going to try to force President Trump to be deposed on the Epstein files as well. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, the Democrats have been all over the place on the Epstein files. Of course, you didn't hear a peep out of the Democrats during the 4 years that the Biden administration had control of the files. President Trump now has, the Trump administration has now released the files. Then when Chairman Comer of the House Oversight Committee turned his attention to the Clintons, appropriately so, since Clinton flew on the Lolita Express 27 times and Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times, the Democrats have been much less vocal about the Epstein files. But again, I think the Epsteins were very good. Epstein was very close to the Clintons. Epstein was one of the first donors to the Clinton Foundation after Bill Clinton left office. I think it was appropriate for James Comer and the Appropriations, the Oversight Committee to subpoena the Clintons.
Congressman, before we let you go, what's up for Congress next over the next few weeks and months? What will be some of the top priorities that you all will be working on, or that you hope that you're working on?
Well, of course, we are still waiting for Senate Democrats to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. 270,000 DHS employees, most are deemed essential, are going without pay right now. So it's only a matter of time before TSA or Coast Guard or FEMA, the emergency management, start having problems with their operations. So that, of course, is right now in the Senate's hands. The House passed funding for DHS quite some time ago. But also in the Senate's hands is the Save America Act. We have to institute election integrity measures so that our votes are safeguarded. The right to vote is one of the most sacred rights in a constitutional republic, and if an illegal alien is allowed to vote illegally, they are stealing your vote. So I would say those are the two most important things coming up.
And that's Congressman Dr. Bob Onder. He, of course, is the congressman for Missouri's 3rd District. His house address is onder.house.gov, and on X, Bob Onder, M.O. Congressman, thank you as always for giving us an enlightening discussion on the workings of Congress. Have a great weekend, and we'll speak with you next Friday.
Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.
4:43 on Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Chris's Corner. California bucks the world And big news and entertainment, CNN may be taking a rightward bent.
Oh.
I'll have more information on those stories on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
I still want you by my side, just to help me dry the tears that I've cried.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Well, wasn't today gorgeous with the sunny skies and temperatures in the mid-70s? A very comfortable evening, and until 10 o'clock, we'll still have temperatures in the 60s. A low tonight of 40 degrees, and tomorrow there is a cold front to the south, and temperatures will be a little bit cooler in the mid-60s. An isolated chance of a spot shower, and then keep an eye on Sunday. Still can't rule out some wintry mix, but our temperatures are above freezing, so impacts are limited. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
On the next, Larry Connors, USA.
Today's story behind the story. The vice president convicted of bribery and kickback charges.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
I just died on your arms tonight. It must have been something you said.
Transgender drivers in Kansas will have their licenses invalidated under a new law that went into effect Thursday. The new rule, passed by the state legislature's Republican supermajority, overriding a veto from the state's Democratic governor, requires the gender identification listed on licenses to be the same as the sex drivers were assigned at birth. About 1,700 drivers were mailed a notice to change their gender and were told there was no grace period to do so.
446 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, and Tim's sanity seems to be creeping back into the world. Kansas, they're doing a common sense thing that your driver's license should reflect your sex that you were born with. Good news there. Chris's Corner, California bucks the world. We'll have more on that, on transgenderism. But before we get to that, Tim, Netflix has walked away from its deal to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. The $111 billion got a little rich for them. So that opens the door for David Ellison, who owns Paramount and CBS, to take over the movie studio. Wow. Who would have ever thought that in a few short years, X would be conservative. CBS now will is leaning more conservative now that they have David Ellison owning it. And if he takes over Warner Brothers Discovery, he'll have control of CNN. CNN could be middle of the road or right-leaning. Did you ever think you'd live to see that?
Say it isn't so. I mean, that's a world I might be interested in living in and actually watching CNN. I do watch, like you, I watch a lot of the Sunday talk shows. And if you get into a habit of doing that, I'm not encouraging people to develop this habit. We do it because it's part of what we do here every day. You and I just don't sit home on the weekends, because we've talked about this all the time. We don't just sit home and just watch Fox News 24/7. We watch a lot of other networks. And on Sundays, if you watch a lot of the Sunday shows back to back, if you flip back and forth between CBS, NBC, CNN, the Fox News program, and some of the others, the biases these days are more obvious. And if you don't see the obvious bias, you're just not being honest with yourself. And Chris, this outgrowth of woke ideology, it was a long historical linear thread that started with, remember, political correctness back in the day? And the uber elites, the coastal elites in our country, they decided that everybody needed to subscribe to this. And they began bending everything to the left, courtesy of big everything, big corporations, big tech, big streaming services. And, Chris, the consumers, American people, not just you and me, the American consumer pushed back hard on this, and companies started losing money.
And if you go to the Drudge Report, in red headlines, it says, panic at CNN, quote unquote, we're all doomed.
We're all doomed.
We're all doomed. You know, remember.
Sounds a little dramatic.
I talked about this last week that Anderson Cooper has decided to leave CBS News. He will no longer be on 60 Minutes. I think he saw the handwriting in the wall and doesn't want to be involved with a right-leaning CBS. I wonder if he's going to be leaving CNN now that David Ellison is purchasing the network.
So when people dare to be slightly more, quote, fair and balanced, that's a cause to project doom. I think that's a strange comment, indeed.
I agree. All right, Joey, California bucks the world.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
Something important is happening around the world on the issue of transgender medical treatments for minors, and California just decided to go the opposite direction. Across Europe and the United States, institutions that once rushed headlong into so-called gender-affirming care for children are now slamming the brakes, not because of politics, because of data, or more accurately, the lack of it. This week, the United Kingdom announced it will force gender clinics to release outcome data on nearly 9,000 children treated with puberty blockers at the now shuttered Tavistock Gender Identity Clinic. Tavistock was closed in 2023 after investigators concluded it was unsafe for children. Even more telling, a planned clinical trial of puberty blockers at King's College London was paused amid concerns that researchers shouldn't experiment on new children until the long-term physical and mental outcomes of previous children are known. The concern, possible long-term biological harm. This isn't fringe skepticism. Earlier this month, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons issued a new guidance warning physicians against performing gender transition surgeries on minors. Their conclusion was blunt. There is sufficient evidence that irreversible surgeries provide long-term benefits for adolescents. Their recommendation, delay breast, genital, and facial surgeries until patients are at least 19 years old. They also acknowledge, quote, substantial uncertainty, unquote, around puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. Hospitals are responding. Vanderbilt University Medical Center has canceled all scheduled gender-affirming surgeries. New York's long-gone health just ended medical treatment for transgender youth, citing the current regulatory environment. Even HHS moved in late 2025 to bar hospitals from performing sex-rejecting procedures on children due to irreversible harm. Which brings us to California. After Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego halted puberty blockers and hormone treatments for minors, in part to protect its federal Medicare and Medicaid funding, California's Attorney General sued, and a state judge sided with the state, ordering the hospital to resume treatments. The judge said, quote, right at this moment, I see kids at risk suffering relative degrees of harm. That statement perfectly captures the divide. Around the world, policymakers and medical institutions are asking a basic, responsible question. What are the long-term consequences of these interventions? California, meanwhile, is asking a different one. Why did you stop? This isn't about denying compassion. It's about recognizing that medical caution is not bigotry and that protecting children sometimes means saying not yet, not never. When the UK is reopening data, when surgeons are stepping back, when hospitals are shutting programs down, California isn't leading, it's isolating itself. And history has not been kind to institutions that ignored evidence in favor of ideology, especially when children were the ones on the operating table. And that is Chris's Corner. Sanity is coming back. Maybe transgenderism was just a phase.
Well, I sure hope so. Hopefully the end of an era. And you know who agrees with you? Google AI. Listen to this. In follow-up to every single thing you just said, even woke Google says several European nations, the UK, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, are shifting away from the gender-affirming model for minors. And get this, Chris, prioritizing psychological support over immediate medical intervention. Exactly what you just said in Chris's Corner. And, you know, for all the liberals out there who suffer from an extreme case of TDS, this is not Donald Trump forcing all these random European nations to do this. No, I think it's because the data and the science is showing them that maybe lopping off body parts from young children was not the way to go, because we see now that later in life, when they do this irreparable damage and harm to them, the thing that these lefties were trying to say, oh, if we give them gender-affirming care, then we will prevent them from suffering from mental distress. You're causing them more mental distress by doing irreparable. Look, maybe there's a portion of society that wants to transition to the other gender. It's a small, minute number. And that's proven because we have a multitude of detransitioners who are now getting some of the best plaintiffs' attorneys in the land to file multi-million-dollar lawsuits against people that did irreparable damage to them before they reached the age of majority.
And that's where I was going to next. I'm hoping that the world is getting more sane and seeing that these surgeries are barbaric, are basically the mutilation of children. But I think you hit the nail right on the head there, and you've said it in the past. I think when these institutions start losing multi-billion-dollar lawsuits and you see the money involved, we've always said that follow the money when it comes to politics and when it comes to this issue. I cited a study that showed by 2030 this will be something like a $10 billion industry. But when people have under threat of being sued, I think that changes a lot of their ideology as well, even though they may still believe in this.
Yeah, and that cost curve projection may reverse itself, right? So they're looking out and they're projecting, oh, look at this. This is so wonderful. We just keep attacking young children and taking off their body parts, and we'll make $10 billion over the next few years. But then, Chris, when you start factoring in the plaintiff's verdicts and you go, ooh, but that $10 billion may cost us $8 billion in judicial settlements and verdicts, maybe we should figure out something else to do in the medical industrial hospital complex.
Exactly. Whatever their reasons are, I'm glad that this barbaric practice is stopping. The mutilation of children is absolutely something from the Hitler era, the experimentation. We've seen studies that show that a lot of these transgender children, they think that this is the thing that's going to cure them. This is the thing that's going to make them happy. And there are studies that have showed that once they do go through gender affirming care or transgender surgeries, that they end up regretting it later. And one of those people, of course, was Chloe Cole, who we mentioned during the Bob Onder interview. The congressman has a law that he's trying to get passed to stop this barbaric act, and it is barbaric.
And unfortunately, as you pointed out, the biggest exception to this, despite everything we just said, appears to be crazy, nutty California.
Yeah.
That they have to buck the trend on this when the rest of the world, not red states in America, but the European Union, right? The Euro socialists are moving away from this as well. And it's kind of a great segue in the Speaker Stump Speech, because I'm going to focus in on some economic stuff in California. Stop the stupid.
And it's just amazing that this judge is basically saying that stopping the puberty blockers, stopping these children having their body parts lopped off is more harmful than giving them these drugs and damaging them psychologically. That's liberal logic, I think you could say, in a nutshell.
Anybody ever heard of counseling? Maybe a little counseling, maybe a little talking through this before we start having irreparable surgical interventions.
As the speaker said, the stump speech will be on California, more nuttiness out there, and then we'll have our weekly visit with Patrick Tuohey, senior fellow at the Show Me Institute. We'll discuss State Senator Adam Schnelting's bill to create an investment fund to eliminate state taxes. Very interesting idea. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I've got Dr. Michael Lewis here, West Point graduate, physician, and retired Army colonel. Is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s for traumatic brain injury and concussions. Stuart Tomp brings over 30 years of experience in the supplement industry, brought $1 billion of products to the market, and has appeared in over 6,000 media interviews worldwide, and travels internationally and teaches on health.
Stuart Tomp here, and I've come across the biggest breakthrough in personalized nutrition I've seen in 25 years.
Dr. Lewis here. You know, for the first time, we can measure cellular and gut health. So you can start testing and stop guessing and make decisions based on real data. I'm working with world-class scientists and physicians, and what they're doing is changing everything.
You can message me at elizabeth@statmedicalllc.com. That is Elizabeth at statmedicalllc.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. As nuclear arms talks with the regime in Iran appear to be making little progress, officials in the Trump administration and in Congress are warning Tehran not to test the resolve of America's military. On the Salem News program this week on Capitol Hill with Tony Perkins, House Speaker Mike Johnson says time is running out in that very volatile part of the Middle East.
Well, this will be a fateful week ahead, and the last couple of days for Iran to come to its senses and make an agreement that makes sense. Otherwise, I think Israel is inclined to move and do something militarily, and that probably in some measure involves the U.S. inevitably. We'll see what happens, Tony. People need to be in prayer that we can get that resolved. We need this regime to be changed, but we don't want to put boots on the ground to do it. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting week.
Speaker Johnson's full interview will be heard when This Week on Capitol Hill is broadcast beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Salem News Channel. Former President Bill Clinton told U.S. House lawmakers that he did nothing wrong in his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Clinton told members of Congress he saw no signs of Epstein's sexual abuse, and by the time the abuse came to light with a 2008 guilty plea, he had long stopped associating with Epstein. The closed-door deposition in Chappaqua, New York, marks the first time a former president has been compelled to testify to Congress. On Thursday, Hillary Clinton gave her own testimony, telling the House Oversight Committee that she did not encounter Epstein and had no idea about his criminal activities. Greg Clugston, Washington.
It was a rough day on Wall Street with the Dow down by 521 points. The Nasdaq plunged 210. With the S&P 500 lower by 30 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're like most Americans nearing retirement with money in a 401k or IRA, then listen carefully. The U.S. dollar is under pressure. Foreign nations are reducing reliance on the dollar, and some analysts are openly warning about the long-term stability of U.S. currency dominance. Whether you call it currency debasement or the collapse of the dollar, the risk is real. And when confidence in the U.S. dollar shifts, gold and silver historically respond. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 to get your free gold investment kit. You'll also receive a free copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Most American retirement accounts are dramatically underallocated to precious metals, even as central banks continue buying gold at record levels. Many Americans are rolling over a portion of their retirement savings into physical gold and silver, tax and penalty-free with Advantage Gold. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Well, wasn't today gorgeous with the sunny skies and temperatures in the mid-70s? A very comfortable evening, and until 10 o'clock, we'll still have temperatures in the 60s. A low tonight of 40 degrees, and tomorrow there's a cold front to the south, and temperatures will be a little bit cooler in the mid-60s. An isolated chance of a spot shower, and then keep an eye on Sunday. Still can't rule out some wintry mix, but our temperatures are above freezing, so impacts are limited. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
When it comes to heating, cooling, and refrigeration, trust the family that's been keeping St. Peter's comfortable since 1974. Hey, it's Susie Moore, and D.L. Pranger HVAC is small enough to care, experienced enough to deliver. Got a competitor's bid? They'll beat it by 20%, guarantee. From home HVAC to commercial refrigeration, beer caves to restaurant coolers, D.L. Pranger does it all. Licensed, insured, and 100% customer satisfaction guaranteed. Call 314-640-9617 or find them on Facebook. That's 314-640-9617.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
The news and talk.
You're going to defund TSA. You're going to defund Secret Service.
That matters to St. Louis.
What they're doing is putting politics ahead of the safety and security of this nation.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
I traveled down to Washington, D.C. to meet with President Trump in the Oval Office. I proposed working together to build more than 12,000 new homes in our city, which will be the single largest housing development New York City has seen since 1973. The president was interested in the idea, and I look forward to the ensuing conversations about how to build more housing in a city that doesn't have enough of it. We also discussed the immigration cases I know are front of mind for so many New Yorkers. I shared my concern with the president about ICE's detention of Columbia student Elmina Agayeva yesterday morning, that shortly after our meeting, the president called me to inform me that Elmina would be imminently released. And indeed, she was.
I don't know what to make of this ongoing Mondami Trump love fest that occurs in the Oval Office every so often. Maybe Trump's looking forward to maybe building some more stuff in New York City after he finishes his presidential term, because he does love New York and he, made his fame and fortune there, but it seems to be rather odd, this relationship.
And I think it goes back to what I talked about at the beginning of the show. Trump is very unpredictable, and that puts his enemies on a footing where they don't know what he's going to do. I think Trump's just playing politics with them. And I also think that Trump understands that Mondami's policies will never work in New York City. So when he does crash and burn, the president can say, well, I tried to be supportive. I wasn't the one that drove him over the brink, and I tried to be supportive. But we all knew his policies didn't work, and now we see that they don't work. Look, I think building 1,000 new homes in New York City is a good thing if they can pull that off. But it doesn't really address the real concern of why there's a housing shortage, and it's because they have rent controls there in New York City. That's the real reason why there is a lack of housing in New York City and why it's so expensive.
We say this about the city of St. Louis all the time. The left always wants to divert, right? They never want to discuss things that they completely and totally control that aren't working well. The city of St. Louis has not had a Republican mayor, in 80 years, something like that. I don't know that there's been a Republican member of the Board of Aldermen in City St. Louis? One.
There was one, but he wasn't really a Democrat. I met with him when I worked for Senator Talent, and the only reason why he chose to be a Republican, it was kind of like a flip of the coin type of thing, and so he's like, yeah, I'll be a Republican, but he wasn't a true Republican. But he left the Board of Aldermen, Tim, probably 20 years ago.
Yeah, and with one, you have zero power over the overall policy of the city. So similar in New York, although New York has had a Republican mayor in our lifetime, Rudy Giuliani, and they do have.
Not going to claim Bloomberg?
No. No. I've spoken with some of my friends in New York about that, and I didn't know the backstory on Bloomberg because I thought maybe he was a Republican. They're like, Tim. He was never a Republican. He pretended to be one so he could get elected and have it run its course. And by the end of his third term, he was back to being a Democrat again, which is what he originally was. So they've had very few Republican city council people. They've got one or two maybe, but they're completely outvoted. So areas like New York City, areas like the city of St. Louis, the city of Chicago, they have been run and ruined by Democrats, and not just old-fashioned Democrats, by leftist progressive Democrats for decades. And yet they want to blame everybody else for their failure. They want to blame President Trump, or maybe back in the day they blamed Ronald Reagan, or they want to blame Republicans, or they want to blame gun laws or whatever. They never, Chris, want to take any accountability for themselves running these interurban areas.
And they all just go back to their main fallback is we're not spending enough money. That was Tashara Jones' mantra. She said that the reason why North St. Louis was in such bad shape as it was because money wasn't spent there. Investment wasn't being spent there. And, I mean, I'd like to see North City revitalized, but, what investor is going to risk his money putting it into an area where the schools are terrible, where the crime is out of control? I mean, you might as well just take your dollar bills and just burn them or light a cigar with them.
Yeah, and even and maybe the city of St. Louis has hit rock bottom and is starting to bounce back, because we do know that there were some Democrats that obviously were too much for the city, right? Like, no longer is Kim Gardner the prosecuting attorney; it's now Gabe Gore. No longer is Cori Bush the congresswoman; it's now Wesley Bell. No longer is Tashara Jones the mayor. It's now Kara Spencer. And all three of those new elected officials, have you noticed how they're a lot less in the news? They're a lot less dramatic. They seem like they're trying to, keep their leftist base appeased and not too worked up, but they seem to be working with business interests more.
And speaking of the city of St. Louis, you remember Alfred Montgomery, the deposed sheriff
who
was jailed?
Is there news?
Yes, he is asking for a retrial, Tim. Now, his attorney has admitted that some of the things that he did were illegal and shouldn't have been done, but his attorney said that wasn't enough to drive him from office, that maybe they should have just taken some of his power away, but he still should have remained in office. Tim, as an attorney, do you think that is a good defense? Is that a good appeal?
Man, so he sucked, but maybe didn't suck as much as you think. Yeah. I mean, take away some of his responsibilities and he'll be better. I mean, that's a strange argument.
Yeah, his attorney said he should have been allowed to remain sheriff with restrictions on conducting criminal investigations, which the sheriff doesn't do criminal investigations as it is.
Place.
All they do is just transport prisoners back and forth from the jail and serve summons. So he never had any criminal investigation power from the beginning.
I think if I'm the prosecutor opposing this silly motion, I say if Alfred Montgomery had, Chris, just done his job, the limited job requirements he has, you just laid out one of the primary ones, he probably would still be in office and nobody would be talking about him.
Yeah, instead of languishing in an Illinois jail.
What? How the mighty have fallen. How the mighty have fallen indeed. Hey, it's Friday. We're rapidly heading towards the weekend. It's February 27th, 2026. When we come back here on Monday, we'll be in the month of March, 5:12 in the p.m. Thanks for listening to us, 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL. And I brought up the fact it's Friday for another reason. It's a Friday in Lent. And so I want to just give a little PSA to what I consider the best fish fry in the land. That's my home parish of Most Sacred Heart Parish in Eureka. We've got the fried cod special tonight. and it's absolutely fantastic. I won't be there tonight. We're actually going to Phantom of the Opera tonight.
Yeah, I actually kind of missed that because when that event happens, you come in smelling like fish oil.
Sometimes
you do clean the grill and stuff.
I do. Chris, they give me a responsibility I'm capable of. I clean the fryers. Yeah. So trust me, they're missing me tonight because I'm one of the few that's willing to do that. No, I'm happy to do it. My family's been involved in the fish fries for a long time. My brother-in-law, Mark, works for one of the major food distributors here in town, and he supplies the delicious North Atlantic cod.
I love cod.
And so he helps run the whole operation along with my buddy Mike. I want to give a big shout out to Mike. I ran into my buddy Mike up in Jefferson City a few weeks. I didn't know he was going to be there, and he was wandering around the hallways, and he found a picture of me on the wall, and he said, "Look who I found." And I said, "Are you here? Because I'm here today." So Mike and my brother Mark, my sister helps out. My wife Suzanne does as well. But Suzanne and Abby and I, along with Suzanne's parents, we're going down to the city tonight. We're going to go. Speaking of the city, we're going to Phantom of the Opera tonight at the Fabulous Fox.
Well, let's sell a little cod here. What's a cod dinner going to set me back at the church?
I think it's $15 all in, something like that. I'll have to look it up. My mom will text me here and correct me because I'm sure I'm wrong. But Chris, for that, whatever that price is, it's very reasonable. You get at least 2. Sometimes they throw 3 large pieces of lightly fried cod.
You're making me my mouth water because I'm hungry right now.
I'm watering too. Yeah. We get green beans with that. You get coleslaw with that. You get dessert with that. You get soft drinks with that. I feel like I'm missing something. Maybe mac and cheese. I think with that.
That's more than $15.
And I mentioned dessert. And if you go into, so you got takeout. You got takeout. You can sit in the big dining room, or you can sit in the special dining room, and there you can buy a beverage, an adult beverage or two as well, a little wine, little beer, because that's what we Catholics do. And every Friday in Lent, except Good Friday. And I'll give a shout-out to everybody who's frying fish tonight because many, many, many of the parishes and organizations in the region do that. I think there's actually a website. If you just type in, like, St. Louis, Missouri fish fries, there's a website that comes up that tells you where they all are and the pricing and all that stuff.
Now, I would say, Tim, bring me a plate on Monday. I'll give you $15. But unfortunately, fish doesn't microwave the next day very well.
It doesn't. You know,
you got to eat fish that day.
I think they serve till 7. So if over the next few weeks, if you and Becky want to hightail it out to Eureka right after the show, I'll make sure they take really good care of you, and you will love it.
Can I get 3 pieces of fish?
I'll get you 3.
Right,
you know what? I'm even sneak you. I'll sneak you an extra. Put it in my pocket.
There you go.
Joey, you into fish fries at all, or is that not up your alley with the avocados?
I don't make it a habit. It's a special treat, though, when it does come around. My favorite thing is when we go with my girl's dad to Lake of the Ozarks, and he catches it right there out in the backyard off the dock and then fries it up that night. That's as good as you can get.
Joe, you're a healthy eating type of guy. I would think you'd be all over fish.
Well, we do eat salmon a lot. My girl is really good at making me buy salmon from Aldi with the stuffing already in the middle. And she throws that in the iron, the cast iron skillet, and it's ready in about 20 minutes.
Is salmon fishy? Because I'm not. That's why I like cod, because it's not a fishy fish. Is salmon fishy?
What a weird question. Not as much as you'd think, I guess. Especially when it says the stuffing already in there. You don't have to make another pot of anything. You got your side right there in the middle.
Tim, you like fishy fish, or you like cod, light fish?
I will eat fishy fish.
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo. I like oysters and clams, and I like I'll eat all that stuff.
Okay.
There's certain things I won't eat though. Like I'm weird. There's certain. Okay, I just told you I eat oysters, but there's other things I don't like the texture of, which is bizarre. Like I do not like peaches.
Oh, really?
I cannot eat peaches. Like the whole gooey.
Yeah. Very sweet, though.
Yeah, I know. I like peach flavor.
Yeah.
And I will eat apples and bananas and berries. I love berries. I love any kind of berry. But man, peaches. I can't do peaches and plums. Something about them. So what about you?
How can you eat plums and you say it's kind of gooey, but then you have like oysters sliding down your throat?
I know. I'm weird. I'm weird. Is there like something that you absolutely like? If somebody gave you $100, you're just not going to eat it.
You'd have to give me more than that, because Becky can tell you I'm a very, 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 very picky eater. So I don't eat a lot of fish. I'm not a big noodle guy. I don't really like noodles too much. Italian, Chinese. So I'm meat and potatoes guy.
Hey, I found it. I was looking for it. $16.
Okay.
$16 for drive-through or in the big gym. The gym, they set the gym up. If you go down to Father Dowling Hall, buffet style, all you can eat for $22. Where are you gonna do that for $22 these days?
Can't go to Golden Corral for that.
Sure can indeed. All right, we were having a lot of fun there. I just realized it's 5:18 in the PM. Got to get to the Speaker Stump Speech, which today is kind of a segue off of Chris's corner regarding the craziness in California. Well, they don't treat kids right out there, and they don't know how to do economics either. Stop the stupid. California dreamin' no more.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
You know, we hear every once in a while, this company is moving out of California. That company is moving out of California. I don't think we realize, though, how long the actual list is. I didn't know because, you know, we don't get the, you don't hear, there's not a story like 50 companies moved out of California today. But let me tell you, about 50 companies have moved out of, major companies have moved out of California over the last many years. The economics of this are staggering when you consider these big names that I'm about to read to you, the amount of market cap that they each have, the amount of employees that they have, the amount of juice that they put into the economy, it really shows you how bad California's become. Not the weather, it's fantastic. Not the scenery, it's spectacular. But their policies. And again, for all you left-wing liberals out there, Donald Trump did not make these companies leave. A lot of them left before he was president or in between. A lot of them left when Joe Biden was president. It's the policies, stupid, and you should stop the stupid. California, the land of Ronald Reagan, should be our best state in the union. People should be flooding in there just like they did during the gold rush. They should continue up to the present moment. Why? Number one, California, by its sheer size and magnitude, is like the fourth or fifth largest economy in the world if it were a country. It still is, even though millions of people have left it. Literally millions of people have left California over the last several decades, and major corporations as well. So it's a shame. I'm sad for California, but the fact is, California dreaming no more. Listen to just some of the major companies that have left California, according to Google AI. And I remember some of these as they occurred. It's just amazing when you see this list in totality. Tesla moved out of California, moved its headquarters, moved down to Austin, Texas in 2021. Oracle, Chris mentioned the Ellisons earlier. Oracle moved to Austin, Texas in 2020. Chevron is in the process of relocating to Houston, Texas. They announced that last year. Hewlett-Packard moved to Spring, Texas. Hey, you sensing some commonality here? Charles Schwab moved to Westlake, Texas. In-N-Out Burger, the famous In-N-Out Burger, they moved their corporate facilities and all of their corporate functions to Tennessee in 2025. Another Elon Musk company, SpaceX, and X itself, moved to Starbase, Texas, and moved to Texas. Palantir Technologies. Oh, and I have an update on this one. Palantir Technologies, they didn't want to go too far, so they left California. They moved to Denver. Guess what I heard last week, Chris? Palantir is moving out of Colorado now because Colorado's gotten too crazy.
Yeah.
FICO moved to Bozeman, Montana. So it's not just the weather, right? But Montana's pretty cold most of the year. The CRBE Group, they're a huge, I think, insurance company. They moved to Dallas, Texas. McKesson moved to Texas. And apparently California is so bad that Neutrogena decided to move all the way over to this side of the country to New Jersey. So even New Jersey is better than California. You got to be kidding me. What are the reasons for the departure? Well, once again, according to Google AI, taxes are number one. With a personal income tax, while so many other states are going to a flat, low, single rate tax, California's personal income tax alone, this is only their income tax, is 13.3%. That's unbelievable. Number two cited the cost of living and doing business. Number three, strict, complex, and insane restrictive regulations. Taxes, the cost of living and doing business, regulation, and of course, crime and public safety is also further down on this list. California, We should be dreaming of it, but most Americans are dreaming no more. California just simply can't stop the stupid. And that's the Speaker's stump speech for today.
In-N-Out Burger is a shocker. In-N-Out Burger is an institution in California. That's like Whataburger moving out of Texas and moving somewhere else. That I didn't hear about In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, it's like, you're right, its identity is California.
Exactly. I mean, when you go out to California, you have to go to In-N-Out Burger.
It'd be like Disney World saying, we're going to leave Florida, you know? I mean, I don't know where they would go, but they're not going to California. Everybody's leaving California, and it's because of liberal progressive policies on steroids. When we come back, we'll speak with Patrick Tuohey. Senator Adam Schnelting, member of the Freedom Caucus, he has proposed a very innovative idea. It'll take a long time for it to transpire, but long term, we're talking maybe our kids or grandkids could benefit from a sovereign investment fund that could possibly eliminate all state taxes. And what about this debate about data centers? We'll break all that down with Patrick Tuohey of the Show Me Institute next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Well, wasn't today gorgeous with the sunny skies and temperatures in the mid-70s? A very comfortable evening, and until 10 o'clock, we'll still have temperatures in the 60s. A low tonight of 40 degrees, and tomorrow there's a cold front to the south, and temperatures will be a little bit cooler in the mid-60s. An isolated chance of a spot shower, and then keep an eye on Sunday. Still can't rule out some wintry mix, but our temperatures are above freezing, so impacts are limited. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Hey folks, it's Jamie Allman here for the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. I love this team so much, and Rodney and Jen love the team so much, I became a member. So now I'm an agent with the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, and I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that we're going to get you into a home really super easily and with the lowest cost you're ever going to find, and make sure we find you that dream home. We're also going to list your home and get the top dollar for your home. I'm telling you, Rodney and Jen love this business. You can tell it is infectious, and I'm so happy to be a real estate agent there with them. 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD. Whether you are buying your home or selling your home, I'm telling you what, the costs are going to be absolutely totally minimal, but the professionalism and getting the job done for you is going to be 100%. The Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michaels Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michaels Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
The developer pushing for a data center in Pacific
asked for more time to put together a plan.
Well, that announcement led to the cancellation of a planning and zoning hearing.
This was some of the reaction after Beltline Energy Representative Ryan Sanders asked for more time.
Until we have that funding agreement in place.
Let's say withdraw.
Un-American. Totally un-American. There was no public comment because there was no public hearing.
Look how many people are here. And then come up there and tell us that they're not ready? I'm sorry. That's just not right.
And now a man who comes alive when there's bad public policy in Missouri, Patrick Tuohey.
Show Me Institute Senior Fellow Patrick Tuohey joining us now. Patrick, I don't know that I blame the guy. He doesn't want to get yelled and screamed at for trying to make people's lives better. But, what do I know about data centers? What say you?
Yeah. Well, look, if he wasn't ready to discuss it, I totally get it. He should have been. But if he wasn't, there's no reason to hold a meeting. It sounded like the angry mob was not going to be denied their chance to be an angry mob.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Patrick, it seems like this data center controversy is similar to the 70s when citizens didn't want nuclear power plants in their backyard. There's a lot of hysteria. But give us some facts about data centers. Should these folks be as upset and worried as they are?
Gosh, you make a really interesting point because there is a lot of crossover with data centers and with energy. But maybe we can talk about that later. I've been interviewed a lot lately about data centers, certainly out here on the western side of the state. And a lot of times a reporter will ask me about environmental impact or square footage or zoning or things like that. None of those are things that bother me. Data centers are hugely in demand. A significant portion of your audience are relying on data centers to listen to us right now, anything on the internet. And so I think they are good things. We rely on them. We certainly create the demand that creates their need. My point is just these companies have buckets of money, tubs of money, large vats of money. They don't need taxpayers to subsidize the construction or the energy or the water needs of these plants. And so I say, states should welcome any new investment, but it should be private investment because it's not money that these guys need. It's not like they're scraping by and they need public help to build a data center. Really, what they need is regulation to get out of the way, to allow them to build the power they need. But I don't get all excited about environmental impacts. I guess the closest I would come is that if we, one of the biggest causes of innovation is money. You don't want to spend as much for a huge data center warehouse, perhaps. You don't want to spend all that money on concrete. You don't want to spend all that money on property tax. And so you look to save money, and that drives innovation. Can we build this smaller? Can we build it cheaper? If data centers pay the full freight of the energy they need, that causes them to innovate. And those are all good things. And we remove the need to innovate when we subsidize something publicly. So again, I have no problem with data centers. I just want to make sure it's the people who profit are the ones that are paying.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there, Patrick, on all those points. I definitely understand the need for us as Americans to be building places that we can store our data on, safety, security, national security issues versus having the communist Chinese being the hosters of everything that we do and prepare and create. And totally agree with you on the fact that, there's big boys and big girls, big giant corporations behind these. They should definitely not get any tax breaks. On the positive side of the ledger, are you all at the Show Me Institute yet looking into this issue of whether or not once these facilities, if these facilities are put up and they get running, is there the opportunity there for property tax relief? I heard that might be a possibility long term.
So I would, in fact, we were all talking about this at the Show Me Institute just the other day on a Zoom call, specifically about data centers. And, my colleague David Stokes, that you have on often, pointed out that if a data center moves into a facility, oftentimes they will contribute so much in tax revenue to the local, to the local county or city that they could definitely offset, that county, that jurisdiction could afford to lower property tax rates for everyone. Now, those last two words are the most important, for everyone. I don't want to give a particular data center a break on property taxes, but look, if they come in and they have a huge financial impact, then by all means, let's lower the property tax rate for them and for everyone else. That's good, fair, small government rather than just, picking winners and losers.
Patrick, there is a big debate, of course, going on in the legislature on phasing out the state income tax. State Senator Adam Schnelting has proposed an interesting idea to create an investment fund to eliminate all state taxes. One of the drawbacks, I think, is that this won't occur for 100 to 125 years. This is something that is going to have to come before the voters. Do you think voters will vote for something that helps people 100 and 125 years in the future?
No, I don't think voters care about things, 5 years in the future. Look, it's Friday night. I don't know that I care about what I'm going to be thinking tomorrow. So that is the part of this piece of legislation that I think I want to say makes it a waste of time to talk about. It's not that investing in the market is a bad idea. That's a wonderful thing, because if you look at returns over the last 100 years, it's great. I think the problem in this is the legislature, it's a sovereign wealth fund. Alaska has something like this, but of course they fund it through oil revenues that are generated outside government. Missouri doesn't have anything like that, not yet anyway. And so we would need to fund this through the general revenue. So we would have to set aside money each year to put into this. And as you guys pointed out, not be able to touch it for 100 years. At a time when the state is trying to deliver services while cutting the income tax, I don't think it's practical at all. So again, it's kind of a nice idea, but you guys follow the legislature as much as anyone. You absolutely know that putting money in a lockbox to sit there for 100 years, what legislator is going to vote for that when they could, in the short term, just give that money back to taxpayers or use it to, pay for roads and public safety and all the things that the state needs. So it's a novel idea. I always like when legislators are thinking out of the box. This is creative. I just can't imagine a scenario in which this works.
The political question, right, is one that will have to be sold to the voters. But what about that concept in total of creating a fund? I don't think it requires a ton of money to get started. When you consider we have a $53 billion budget, I think it's like $250 million or something like that, to eliminate all taxes in the future. I mean, I was salivating when I heard this, Patrick. But putting aside the political hurdles here, is it a good idea? Is it something that we should think about doing, or no?
It's okay. It's not a bad idea. If we had some sort of source of income that wasn't general revenue that we could put into this. So let's imagine, for example, let's create a way in the next few years where Missouri decides to really take advantage of our nuclear energy footprint here. And we decide, you know what, we're going to innovate. We're going to become, the next Texas. We can't generate oil, but we can generate nuclear power. And we're going to become a state that exports nuclear power. Now, maybe under those circumstances, we can say, all right, we're making so much money from nuclear power that we're going to take a percentage of it and we're going to put that into the sovereign wealth fund. Well, then you've got kind of an external, money machine that's just pouring money into this. Maybe that's a way to do it. But right now in Missouri, we would have to take current revenue and put it into it. And so, again, I like the innovation. I like the idea. I like the idea of investing in the market. I just don't know that we've got the money to put aside right now.
Patrick, you have a couple of interesting housing articles on showmeinstitute.org. One of them that caught my attention, you wrote about how luxury housing still helps lower income renters. Explain.
Yeah, so I came across this concept a few years ago. Now, I spend a lot of my time, let's say, complaining about subsidized housing construction, especially in Kansas City, we've spent a lot of money subsidizing luxury housing. And I'm always against that. If you want to build luxury housing, God love you, but you should pay for it yourself. But this study came out and said, rather than worry about are we building enough low-income housing or moderate-income housing or luxury housing, the study came out years ago. And again, this new study that I talk about is largely the same and says any housing is good. Because if a bunch of luxury housing is built, imagine like a condo, a high-rise or something like that, the people that move into those units move out of other units elsewhere in the city, and those become more competitive. And then the people that move into that second tier move out maybe of the third tier. And so we shouldn't think about, well, what type of housing should we build? Any housing. Even luxury housing, any housing we can put on the market is good, and the market itself will settle. And so, I can speak for myself. The third floor apartment in a 3-building walk-up that I lived in when I was in college was an absolute dump. A dump. Constantly smelled like beer because it soaked into the hardwood floors. But it allowed me housing. I wouldn't live there now, but it was great housing for me as a college student who had no money. So when you build any kind of housing, everybody moves up. And so, again, the lesson for me is let's stop worrying about what type of housing we build and just build anything. More of anything is good.
Does Patrick, do our urban and suburban areas, do we have a housing crisis, or is that an overblown term? And what should lawmakers be considering doing to maybe help with whatever housing affordability issues we have?
All right. I love that question because I think it's the exact right question to ask. In Kansas City and St. Louis, we don't necessarily have a housing problem. There's plenty of housing. We have low housing costs compared to the rest of the country. Often the problem, I'm sad to say, in Kansas City and in St. Louis is nobody wants the housing that's available, but it's there. And it's, public safety, basic services, all the things we've talked about before. And you can look at the amount of housing nationwide and say, well, we've got enough housing. The problem is it isn't where people want to live. So what I would say is, New York City, San Francisco, where there really are housing crunches, what the government needs to do is reduce the cost of housing by, in many cases, getting out of the way. Obviously, we want public safety protection. We want to make sure that houses meet code and stuff like that up to a point. But so many of the regulations are just, they just make a house more expensive without making it more safe. Sometimes that's by design. We can talk about that later. So I would just want localities and states to get out of the way and let the market solve their own problem. One of the suburbs outside of Kansas City is a city called Lee Summit. And I was talking to a number of people there, and they were complaining about, well, there's so many apartments going up. We don't like this. And I said, look, if you live in a city that people want to move into that is building houses, you're lucky because a lot of people are moving out of cities. So be thankful that people want to move in. Be thankful that developers are investing. And it might not be the apartment you would want to live in, just like that college apartment I spoke about, but it's an apartment that will serve somebody's needs. You want those people in your city. You want them paying taxes. It's a good thing. So again, you can look at some cities that have a housing crisis. Kansas City and St. Louis, maybe not so much. But the answer is always the same, which is deregulate, get out of the way. If there's demand, builders will build. And if there's not demand, then nothing will change.
Patrick,
ultimately, go ahead. I was just going to say, ultimately, the answer is always the same, which is the market can solve these problems if we let it.
Patrick, one of the reasons why your article grabbed my attention, a lot of times when you see luxury housing going up, it's in formerly lower income neighborhoods, and you have a phenomenon called gentrification happening. The yuppies move in and raise the values of the area, but the lower income people can't afford to live there anymore. Your thoughts on that regarding your article?
All right. So I am second to none in hating yuppies and hipsters. So let me say that out front. But I don't know how we solve this problem because if I'm going to go into, let's say, an urban environment, a largely black neighborhood, and I tell a black couple that wants to retire, sell their house, and move to Florida, am I going to tell them they can't sell to a 20-something white couple? Am I going to tell a 20-something white couple, you may not buy a house here because you're white? Like, that's unworkable. So again, I understand the concern about gentrification. The irony, of course, of hipsters and yuppies or whatever we call them is they move into these neighborhoods like Bed-Stuy or Brooklyn in New York. They move into that because of the, diversity, because of the ethnic restaurants and stuff like that, and then end up pricing those people out. But that's the nature of the market we live in. And the alternative is to somehow have government dictates that say who can live in a neighborhood, and maybe it's based on your skin color. So I understand the concern about gentrification, but ultimately what we want are free people acting freely and not, we can set up social safety nets and maybe we can do some things at the margins, but ultimately we've got to allow people to realize the value of their property and sell and retire if they want to, and not get too upset about is a couple moving in too white, because that's crazy.
Indeed. Patrick Tuohey, Senior Fellow at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. Patrick Tuohey on Twitter X. Patrick, we got to run because we got to get to that all-important Producer Joey V movie review.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. When we return, the moment we've all been waiting for. Producer Joey V's movies. That's coming up next. Scream 7. Is it worth a 7th trip to the theater? We'll talk about that and more when we come back. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Well, wasn't today gorgeous with the sunny skies and temperatures in the mid-70s? A very comfortable evening, and until 10 o'clock, we'll still have temperatures in the 60s. A low tonight of 40 degrees, and tomorrow there's a cold front to the south, and temperatures will be a little bit cooler in the mid-60s. An isolated chance of a spot shower, and then keep an eye on Sunday. Still can't rule out some wintry mix, but our temperatures are above freezing, so impacts are limited. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Are you a proud American? Then join us for the Lincoln Trump Dinner, March 20th at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Peters, hosted by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee. The evening features a VIP reception, dinner and program with live music by the Comparito Trio. Register online at stcharlesgop.com. Don't miss this celebration of America's 250th year, the Lincoln Trump Dinner. See you March 20th.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. Until I called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way. The Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney. Did you miss me? Nice little town you found. You and your pretty daughter. Reminds me of where we grew up.
Well, you sure know a lot about me for another asshole hiding behind a voice changer.
Oh, I'm not hiding, Sydney. Not this time.
Where is my daughter?
This is gonna be fun.
Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps hearing that trailer. Well, it's Friday, and it's time to get your weekend started with another movie review by Joey V. This time, it's Scream 7.
Joey, baby, what movie are you playing?
Brought to you by Harry J's Steakhouse in Moscow Mills.
Today we're talking Scream 7. And here's the plot. This is the 7th Scream movie. And that's it.
I've seen none of
That's
them.
all you need to know. I'm not going to make any friends with this review.
Because Uh-oh.
And I'm fine with that. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of the Scream movies really at all. And people who are fans of it, they're weird people. They are obsessed with these movies. It becomes their personality. I had only seen the first Scream movie probably shortly after it came out on VHS. You know, it came out in 96, and the VHS would have came out in 97, and I probably
That
saw
long
it.
ago?
Yeah. It's been forever, right? And I haven't seen any of the other movies. So I went knowing that this review was coming up, and I watched all 6 of them
You
really
tortured
close
yourself.
together over the past few months. And that's how I know that I'm not a big fan of these movies. There's certain things that you have to buy into with these movies, and I just can't get my head to wrap around it. The voice changer thing. All of these movies have different killers, but they all have the same voice, and they all use this voice changer that they hold up in front of their mouth. And I just don't get how you, Chris, standing 3 feet away from me, holding up a little box in front of you, I wouldn't hear some weird double echo thing going on. And then in Scream 3, it's even weirder because the voice changer can replicate anybody's voice. So you have to suspend some disbelief for that technology. And then just, they're pretty tame. I'm a big horror fan, and the kills just aren't that gory. I mean, some of them, it's almost like they shove a knife in between someone's armpit real quick and then make a noise, and you see no blood really until they're laying on the ground. So if they could be gorier, maybe I would like them. And then the killer reveals, they're always so convoluted. Whoever it is, you never go, oh my gosh, how exciting. It's always, I had no idea because you just kind of pulled that out of your butt. But the thing that everyone loves most about these Scream movies that sets them apart is the meta stuff. The fact that they're commenting on the horror genre as a whole at the same time. If you've seen a trailer for any of these, you know that there's usually someone saying the rules of horror films, like don't say I'll be back and leave a room, or don't have sex, things like that.
Black people always get killed
Don't be
first.
a black person. That was heavily featured in Scream 2 with Jada Pinkett Smith. She got killed pretty quick in that one. But the thing that I hate with the meta jokes is that Wes Craven directed the first 4 movies, and they keep talking about Wes Craven movies all the time. The dude is on the other side of the camera. He's in the room, but these characters are having conversations about Freddy. In the first Scream, he literally dresses up as Freddy Krueger and plays a janitor mopping the floors, and I think that just pulls me out of the movie. A lot of people love that. To me, it's like if you, Chris, were watching The Godfather Part 3, and Michael Corleone just said, Mario Puzo, he's a great writer.
I got you.
While he's standing in line at Captain EO with
Right.
Michael Jackson, because Coppola directed the Captain
I
EO
remember
ride.
that.
So those things pull me out, but, just basic plot, science, and armor, that stuff annoys me too, where people get stabbed 10 times, but then they come back later just because the movie needs them in the next movie. I can't stand that. But, with this new one, I found myself really liking it. It didn't make any of those mistakes. It didn't pull me out of the movie. It was much darker. It was gory as all heck. I mean, there was one scene that's one of the most creative kills I've ever seen in a horror film. You want to know what it is? I can tell you if you want.
No, don't give it away.
You want to share it?
You go ahead. Go for it.
This guy gets impaled on a beer tap, So it's
Ooh.
through his skull,
Oh.
and then when his head leans back, beer starts shooting out of his mouth.
That is creative.
Like he's the beer tap now. And it made me laugh so much. It was so funny. Now, what also brings me back to these movies, even though I don't love them, there's real life stuff that gets thrown in. Courtney Cox and David Arquette, they get married in real life, they get married in the movies, and then they get divorced in real life, and they get divorced in the movies.
Oh, that's funny.
The craziest thing that's happened in these movies is that Harvey Weinstein goes and rapes Rose McGowan in real life after the first Scream. And then in the third one, it's all about how these movie producers and directors rape young actresses. And Harvey's still a producer on that movie.
Whoa.
His name is still brought to you by the Weinstein Company and Miramax. And then because of Me Too, Harvey Weinstein has to sell everything, loses the rights to Scream, and then it moves over to Paramount. So just those little things are so bizarre to me. And then, of course, with
story within the story.
Yeah, the story within the story that sets up this one is in Scream 6. One of the actresses, she comes out as pro-Palestine. She gets fired. Her friend quits. The director quits because of the death threats he's getting from the pro-Palestine supporters. And then they have to retool the entire plot. And I feel like the way they pivoted the movie actually made sense. Everything that was a callback to the other movies, everything that they do in this movie to throw away the script and start over still made sense to me. So I give it just props for that. Now, when you get to the end, the killer is still super convoluted and you don't really care and you don't feel anything in your stomach. But I really liked the journey to get there. So I say that this is actually the second best Scream in the entire series. I like this one. I give this a 3 out of 5 stars.
Whoa, really?
That's pretty
3
good.
out of 5. Toasted raviolis.
Rotten Tomatoes gives it 37 to 40%. That's not pretty good, is it?
That's what's happening is that people who have grown up with these movies and watched them as they came out and then have nostalgia for them, they're thinking with these rose-colored glasses about how great those movies are. And this one doesn't hold up because it's different. Me, I watched them all right in a row, super close to each other, and I'm just saying facts. I think this one is just super well directed, but it's not as silly as the other ones. And I think that's what some of these huge Scream fans are hoping for. They wish it was sillier, but that's the stuff that would take me out of the movie in the first place.
And speaking of the director, he's Kevin Williams. He was an original screenwriter on the first 3 of these. Does that make any difference? He's not writing it, he's directing it. You think that changed the movie some?
He has been considered, this is literally what they call him, the godfather of the series. Even if he's not writing all of the scripts, he's always been there to help shepherd it and keep it on track. And so when the last director quit because of all the pro-Palestine protesters sending him death threats, they decided that Neve Campbell would kind of be in charge. She is the actress in the Scream movies, and she was left out of the last one, out of budget fights. So they backed the Brinks truck up to Neve Campbell, gave her $7 million, made her in charge of this. And she said, you know what? Let's bring back Kevin Williamson and make him the director of this movie. And I think it's in good hands because this guy has always known what he's wanted to do with the characters. I would say that because it's so subtle with its meta stuff, that's why the big fans of this series aren't loving it as much. It's really tying everything in a way that doesn't take you out of the movie. And if you hate AI is the thing that they're talking about in this movie. So if you're already tired of AI and you see that they're bringing that in, I can imagine a groan coming out of you where you go, oh, I can't believe that's how they're taking this. But to me, that makes sense. If you're a killer and you can fake people and send, fake FaceTime videos to people and demand death threats and ransom money and stuff, I think that's what a killer would do nowadays.
3 toasted Raz. So your last couple of movie reviews, you didn't particularly care for the movie, so we had an upgrade this week.
Back,
Scream 7, 3 toasted Raz.
I watched one of your recommended movies finally this week. I watched Predator Badlands.
Oh, wonderful. Is that on Hulu now, I think?
It's on Hulu. I enjoyed it, and I thought it was entertaining. It had a lot of interesting aspects to it. Totally different storyline, like you said, Joey, from the previous ones. And I found myself wanting to know more of the story. So they set it up at the end for a sequel.
I think that guy's going to get another movie as well, yeah. I know Chris doesn't like scary movies really that much.
That's teeny bopper kind of movies. I think I've grown on. Now, I'll watch it at home on Hulu or
that's
something,
what I
but
did.
I don't know if I'll spend money
that's what I did.
to go there. Joey, I looked on our schedule. You have already have your movie for next week. You want to preview that a little bit, what you'll be seeing and presenting us with?
It's top secret, but... All right, it might be The Bride. We don't know. That's the Christian Bale one where he plays Frankenstein. It sounds like it's going to be a weird movie. It could be awful. Yeah, we'll see if The Bride is any good.
I'm always like, how many Frankenstein and Dracula movies can you make?
I know, this one might be a comedy or something. I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll find out next week. 3 toasted wraps for Scream 7, so that's something you can do this weekend. What you can do next is listen to Larry Connor's USA, the story behind the story, the vice president who was convicted of bribery. You've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great weekend.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether